It's another thing. We are coming at you live from the Helm Studios at the Helm Studios. We haven't. So welcome. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in.
Come on in. Come on in. Come on in.
We still haven't figured out how to fix the sound for TikTok, and we have a really good show
Yes.
tonight that we would love for TikTok to hear. But welcome in those of you on Facebook, Facebook Live, YouTube. We are back with At the Helm with Kelli and Wayne. I am your co-host, Kelli.
And I'm Wayne. And we are, so for some reason tonight, while we were trying to get on, StreamYard decided that traffic was super heavy and for some reason wouldn't let us go live. So that's why we're a few minutes behind this evening. But we hope those faithful people that are normally with us will wait out the process and join us and find us. We are grateful again to be here, grateful to have you here. I need to resend the link just to make sure. I think it's the same, but I want to try to make sure it is all good.
All right. And while you do that, we will just hop right into the show because we can't, we do all this behind the scenes things. So we are fresh off of Mother's Day. We hope everyone had a wonderful Mother's Day. Those of you who actually, carried children, and those of you who adopted children, and those of you who continue to nurture and feed into and pour into children in your neighborhood, in your family, in your communities. We hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day.
Yes, thank you for all of you wonderful mothers and ladies that are in our lives to help us along the way. We are so grateful.
Yes, we are. Also another milestone in the household. Okay, we have I don't know. We have a grandchild.
Oh, does she want to get on?
Say hi. So this is what we do.
Yeah.
She's actually supposed to be watching the other. You normally see Riley in here, so we thought maybe we would get somebody who could watch Riley.
Mm-hmm.
Again, here we are tonight. We have no idea what Riley is doing because the person who's supposed to be watching Riley is
up here with us,
chucking the deuces and giving us duck lips.
Yeah.
But hey girl, hey. All right. You can exit stage left.
Thank you. All right, bye y'all.
All right.
So yeah, we're just getting ready to say that we are celebrating another milestone. We celebrated 31 years of 31 years of wedded bliss.
That's enough to celebrate.
It really is.
You don't want to clap?
31 years it's a long time. It's a long time. When we think back, like we're really not that old. And so to say that we are here together after 31 years and that we still like each other. We have raised our families. We built this life. Our baby is 26. And so we've had a lot of time to figure out if we really do like each other. Once everybody leaves the house and there's no early morning soccer games, there's no basketball practices, there's no choir rehearsals.
There's no buffer.
There's nothing that you have to, come in. Because there were days that I would come in from work and just pull into the driveway. The kids would run out to the car and we would leave to go do something. We were always busy.
Mhm.
So when the busyness dies down, then the relationship piece kicks in.
And then you looking at each other like, what we gonna do now?
Who are you?
Oh, we got all this
And
time
so,
together.
yeah. So I mean, like I just said, our baby is 26, so I can't imagine him being married at 26, which
With a child.
is 3, 4, 5, I don't know, 3 or 4 years older than what we were when we got married.
2 years old.
So yeah, so I can't imagine it. So I don't know. I don't know if our mamas was having a fit when we said we were going to get married, but they didn't say. Well, they didn't say nothing. My mama didn't say to me not to get married.
She said something to me.
I think she said something to you. I think she said something to
She
you.
gave me some good advice.
Yeah,
I'm glad I ain't listening. I'm glad I ain't listening.
Yeah. So my mama told anybody that was dating any of her children, don't marry them. Don't marry my kids.
She's right though, but
And if you marry my kids,
yon.
I'm not taking them back. They're yours. So she married all of them off. So that's all I want to say about that.
We still going strong.
Yeah, so we're still here. So I am glad to be here tonight. But I do want to say, like, they say if you want to know the truth, ask a child. If you really want to know the truth, ask your own children. And it doesn't matter like how old your children are. If it's your child, and sometimes when you don't ask them, they tell you the truth. So I say that to say I asked our 30-something-year-old child if she was tuning in tonight, because we were having this wonderful discussion. And she said, y'all's podcast is kind of boring. She said that. She said, so who is your target audience? And I was like, obviously it's not you, not your age group. Like, so, and so then I go and look at her Facebook page to see like what is it that we want to talk about. And yeah, I see why she thinks our podcast is boring.
Yeah. She wanted to be rest.
She got a whole lot going on over there.
Yes.
So we appreciate those of you who tune in week after week. So just give us some feedback. We're always asking for feedback on what is it that you want to hear. We know that we're not going to grab everybody. We talk about what is important to us and what we find interesting. Most of the time that's going to be voting. It's going to be getting engaged. It's going to be community activism. Mm-hmm. Those are the things that
church.
We don't even talk about church that much. We
talk about the church a lot.
We talk about the church. Yeah, we don't talk about church that much. So what I learned today is that things are not a problem until they're a problem for you. So all of these things that are going on, like I just saw, and I don't watch a lot of the news anymore, but I did happen to see on the news that they're trying to ban masks. Even if you have a doctor's note, our General Assembly is working on banning masks in public spaces.
Yep.
So that affects
don't care if everybody. Sick, if you got an autoimmune
I was out today, ran to Costco. I should say just big box store.
Yeah,
until we get some sponsorships.
Yeah.
Ran to a big box store today. And I saw still quite a few people in there who were
wearing masks.
And it was, a conglomerate of different people. So one of the things that, when I saw that, the demographic of people who were still wearing masks, who were wearing masks today, is I thought about how that law would be enforced. Mm-hmm. And who would it be enforced against? Yeah. So these are one of the things that, these are the things that we have to think about. Like, these are the people that we vote into office. And this is what they decide that they want to do, what is best, for you. So that's just one of the things they're doing. We talked about what they were doing with the money that they want to give to private school vouchers. And on its face, people may not think that vouchers are bad. We talk about school choice, but again, we talked about the school makes the choice. So the school decides who comes to that school.
That's right.
And when you look at the school, the population of the school, it doesn't really mimic the population of the community. So we give all this money to these schools, these private schools, these so much going on. I was getting ready to say like these Christian private schools. We just got off another meeting about Christian nationalism, which is another
issue.
Scary thing. It's another scary thing. But yeah, so the money goes to the school. It doesn't follow the child. So once the child gets into that school, and you know, I know some children from the Black and brown community who they get to that school and it doesn't work for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they end up having to leave the school. Well, guess what? The money stays at that school. And then that child who's, you know, the money went to that private school, then comes to the public school that's already struggling for resources and fighting and clawing for resources against these other schools. Those resources still have to go to support that child. So here I am on a tangent. Again, just talking about what's interesting to us. So we appreciate Nikki. I wasn't gonna say her name, but the daughter. We appreciate the 30-something-year-old for giving us her feedback. And I would have to say I tried to follow the Drake and Kendrick beef. Like I tried. I did. I just had a birthday. I know now that is not my thing. So my 14-year-old granddaughter was in the car. She was all in. I think it was the Meet the Grahams, maybe, that she likes. So she was like, was that the one? Was that the no, Not Like Us. See, I don't know. But I think it was the Not Like Us one that she could dance to. So she kind of liked that. So yeah, so those are things that, you know.
So maybe we talked about the Kendrick and Drake drama and I don't even want to mess it up, the last drama that they had between, was it Megan and Nicki? Who was it?
Yes, I think Megan.
Yeah, maybe that would have been more along their lines of,
Yeah. But if you're looking for that on this podcast, sad to say, we're not.
How do we free us?
You're probably not. Yeah. You're probably not going to get it.
Yes.
And even when I tried to get into it, I really couldn't understand. Like, I understand beef, but I understand LL Cool J, Kubo D.
Yeah. So
I understand that kind of beef.
Yeah. Yeah.
I understand the beef from the 90s.
Mama said knock you out.
Not even Kubo D. Big Daddy Kane.
It was Kubo D.
Kubo D. See?
Yeah.
I understand that beef, but I also understand, and I think I've said this before, that I was riding in my car listening to Sirius XM radio, where LL Cool J has a station, and the Kubo D song was playing on the LL Cool J station. Yeah. So, do we really got beef?
Yeah.
Or is everybody just chasing the bag? Is it really beef? Yeah. I don't know if it's really beef.
Exactly.
Because if it was real beef, I wouldn't play your song on the station that's bearing my name. Like, I don't know that I would do that, but yes, that's another thing. Trying to get all this out real quick. We're gonna bring on like an amazing guest. I want to get to it. She's here. As we thought we would do maybe half the show, but I want to bring her on for all of the minutes that we can get her.
Yes, all of them.
But I do want to mention, because you all may also know about the NAACP and me running for president and what that meant. After I ran for president, then allegedly, reportedly, I was about to get kicked out of the organization.
Cease and desist.
I got a cease and desist letter. Allegedly, reportedly.
From the man.
Because I ain't, allegedly, reportedly. I'm just saying.
Oh, no, that was allegedly.
I did run.
So hold on.
I did get a cease and desist letter.
It was allegedly, reportedly that you defamed the president.
Allegedly, reportedly. I was talking bad about said organizations. But anyway.
Said former president.
If any of you all follow Roland Martin, who is one of the maybe, I don't know, few, I won't say only, Black-owned media.
Yes.
Not Black-led, not Black people on the camera, but Black-owned media.
Yes.
He actually he ran a story about this very thing that's happening across the nation with the NAACP.
Yep.
Where people are, same issues. They ran for office. All of a sudden, they got a suspension letter. They were suspended from the organization, civil rights organization, without due process. And then said that they were given a, what do you call it when you go? They were given a hearing. They were given a hearing they got a letter that said you came to the hearing and this was the finding, but they never went to a hearing. So, and I don't know that we said this. So we joined the NAACP in 2017,
16.
right after the 2016 election.
Yes.
We woke up and we had a certain person, 45, was president, and we was like, we have got to do more. Like, this is not okay. And up until that point, I didn't want to, that was not an organization that I wanted to join because I just saw it just didn't feel, and I don't, I don't want to disparage.
Because of the reason they on Roland Martin right now.
Yeah. So I think everybody's coming there. Somebody who's here. All right, so this is a real-time show. Everybody just comes into the studio, close the door, even though, put a sign on the door that says record.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we had said that we didn't want to, I didn't want to because I didn't want to be involved in the drama. I want to be involved in where I can actually get in and do the work. Like, let's just do the work and let's forget the drama. So the first meeting that I showed up to, my first meeting just happened to be the meeting where a new president was being installed. So I said to this president, hey, we're here. We put this off, and this is the reason why. We don't want a whole lot of drama. We've got work to do. Now, we have this 45 who immediately was a problem. It was a problem immediately.
No, it really got
So there is work to be done here. So we are here to do the work. We just want to do the work. We don't want no drama. I said this to the president, like, don't waste my time. I won't waste your time. There's things but I want to be involved with the oldest civil rights organization in the country, who has the potential for doing magnificent work across the country. But right here in our community, right here in Raleigh, Apex, Cary, Mooresville, Garner, Fuquay, all the places where I shop, play, hang out, this is where we can impact real change. This is what I want to do. So we got involved. And so that was like 2017. The election was 2022. And I got a cease and desist letter. So anyway, I say that to say, I was it wasn't just me. It wasn't just me. I wasn't alone across the country. I'm talking about people in Louisiana, people in Florida,
California,
people in California, like
Philadelphia,
people
Georgia.
Across the country.
Yeah, Texas.
People who have lifetime memberships to this organization.
Louisiana.
Lifetime memberships, like people who cared enough to have to pay $750 for a lifetime membership, which we were kind of on that track as well.
But not only that.
And these are people who don't get paid. Let me say that. These are volunteers. These are people who care about their community, and they volunteer their time to be a president of an organization, to be a secretary of the organization. They volunteer their time because they too know. They've known from the beginning. They were not like me saying, let me go find me something else to do. They've been in it. And so to see that this was happening. So if you get a chance, go to Roland Martin's YouTube, look that up.
Check it out.
Holla at me.
You may be on there.
So there is there's an election in our branch this year. I ain't saying nothing, I'm just saying. There's an election coming up. There might be a candidate.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Whose name
We'll put that to the side.
Or may not be on the ballot again.
Yeah, so that was the thing. So I was running for president. They didn't even bother to put my name on the ballot, so people couldn't vote for me. Like, how you? And again, a civil rights organization who we out here fighting for against voter suppression, and inside the organization, people's names are being left off the ballot. This ain't allegedly report. Like these are facts.
Yes.
These are facts. I don't want no smoke with the NAACP. I'm just saying. That was my experience.
Yes. So this is a good segue into our guest this evening, because it's things like this. It is situations that we are dealing with. It is presidents like a 45. It is UNC Board of Directors trying to cancel it and do away with the DEI program. It is these white Christian nationalists who are just trying to hijack Jesus. It is the Virginia legislator renaming schools after racist Confederate, renaming after racist Confederate soldiers. It is these things that you have to deal with on a regular, everyday basis that you have to protect your sanity and you have to find a way in your life to get away, protect your self-care, I guess is the word I'm looking for, to provide some self-care for yourself. And we talk about that a lot, about making sure that you, whatever it is your happy place is, or whatever that place is, that you can get away to relax, unwind, debrief, whatever you need to do to get away, turn off the TV, turn off social media for a little while, and just get away to regroup and to refresh. So we are grateful. May is Mental Health Month.
Mental Health Awareness.
Mental Health Awareness Month. And so we are grateful for our guest this evening, who is very amazing, who you know more than I do, but I've met her on a couple of occasions, and it doesn't take long to realize that you are in great company, who someone is doing amazing work. And we need more people like this in our communities, more people who are in this field, but not only in this field, but in this field to advocate for those who are in need. It's one thing to get into a field and to practice, but when you realize not only you're practicing, but you're practicing for everyone, but you want to make sure that those that may be disenfranchised or underserved are getting that same information or treatment as well. So we're grateful for people like this. So I'm going to let you introduce our speaker this evening, and then we will bring her on.
All right. So our speaker this evening is none other than Dr. LaShonda Lucas. And so I know her. I know her from work, but I'm still like fangirling because she is so amazing. Like she is. So if you're in the spiritual realm, if you're, in the biblical sense, then a Proverb 31 woman is what she is. If biblical senses is not your thing, then just think phenomenal. She is just a phenomenal woman. She is she speaks with wisdom. Hence Dr. LaShonda Lucas. She's a hardworking, she's a loving mom, wife, faithful. She stands on business. Like these are all Proverbs 31 things, but they're also phenomenal woman things. Okay. She is well dressed. She's amazing. Like I love her. She is a proud member of Zeta Phi Beta sorority. And she is also a history maker. So I've been stalking her and found out that she is the first student from the inaugural cohort at A&T University in the PhD in social work program to graduate that program. Get pride. Go Doc. So we're going to bring her up again, the fabulous, the wonderful Dr. Lucas.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Can
y'all hear me?
Doing well.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Can you hear us?
I can.
All right.
So
All right. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Lucas, for joining us this evening.
Thank y'all. Listen, y'all are so cool. Y'all are too cool to me. I'm sitting here listening like Kelli got beef with NAACP. This is better than the Kendrick and Drake. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah. And
so I know about beef.
Yeah,
I know about beef. I just don't know about the Kendrick and Drake beef.
I mean, and that was beef that really is impactful to our communities. Two rich people arguing. I mean,
yeah.
What is that doing for our for public education and for voting rights? And
they're going to be okay.
We're in a place now that we have to look beyond some things and make sure that we are making sure that we're doing what we need to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, y'all are cool. I always tell Kelly that. I'm like, listen, y'all are the coolest people I know. Y'all remind me of me and my husband. So that's the first thing. But I'm just like, y'all are so cool. Y'all's TikTok videos, all your family stuff. And Kelly's like, she fangirls. But when I found out that y'all did so much on social media, I like binged everything. I'm just scrolling and watching like all y'all stuff. So I'm fangirling too.
We got to get back. We got to get back to it. You got to get back to that. We don't do it nearly as much.
Y'all are cool.
But we are glad to have you here tonight. Like we mentioned, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I think we're going to find out. You're going to talk to us about that being in your field. I was just lucky enough recently to attend your Black Mental Health Conference. It was amazing. Every session was amazing. Chrisette Michelle was the keynote. She was amazing. Everything was amazing. So, and I think it was your first one. So you learned on these first and being amazing at these first. So we just wanted to bring you on to talk with us about mental health and how important it is. We know how important it is. Like just the last week, we saw that Miss USA and Team Miss USA, like they've stepped down from their post to take care of their mental health. We know that who was a tennis player who did the same thing. So people in these high profile positions are making mental health a priority. So May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we wanted to just have a conversation about that. So we will just hop right in. So, all right. So I was going to say, we'll start. I think we have a question. So we're going to start, like, tell us your origin story. What is your origin story? Like, what inspired you to pursue a career in mental health?
That's a deep first question. Because it really does go back to my origin, right? So I was born in Newport News, Virginia. So born and partially raised. And I don't know if y'all know anything about Newport News, but the nickname for it is called Bad News. And it's called that for a reason, right? So in the city's better. I love my hometown. But I grew up around a lot of poverty in the inner city, right on the Tidewater area, on the Chesapeake Bay. So grew up in a lot of poverty, including, my own family. I grew up witnessing a lot of substance use and misuse and abuse, domestic violence, gang violence, community violence. And so even my mom had a drug addiction at the time when we were growing up. And me and my sister were removed from her care because of it. So I'm in the middle of a lot of stuff, right? So I'm witnessing so much stuff as a young Black girl. And then, like you mentioned, Kelly, I'm the first in all these areas, right? I'm the first person in my family to go to college. I'm the second to graduate from high school, my sister being the first. The first to go to college and graduate from college, and the first and only to get my master's degree, first and only to get my PhD. So in all of this journey, I'm growing up, I'm becoming a woman, I'm getting married, and I don't really have good examples of what any of that looks like. And so I knew I wanted to help people because I saw that so much was going on in our communities and we didn't talk about it as a family. So I knew I wanted to help people, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I'm thinking psychiatry, psychology, and then I learned about social work and how social work works with the biopsychosocial of a person, so the entire person. And I thought some of my issues, some of the things that I dealt with, didn't really come from, at the time, I didn't think psychological. I'm thinking, no, it's my environment. So I wanted to be in a field where I can not only just help someone's thought process, but help them in their environment, right? Because the whole systems theory, and we're a product of our environment, we're a person in the environment, that does matter, right? That impacts the choices we make, how we think, how we cope. So I knew I wanted to help people, and I started working with children and their families. So those who are dually diagnosed, I started working with them and working in a nonprofit sector, working with the Department of Juvenile Justice, with our children, our youth who were court involved. So I did all of that. And now I'm at back all the way back around working with women. So now my work is working with women on this journey because now I've lived a little bit. I'm halfway still a baby, but I've lived a little bit, and this journey of being a woman has stretched me the most. And I thought I didn't have this example. And so now I want to be an example for somebody and help somebody else journey through.
I love that. So, especially when you say you didn't have that, so you want to be the person that you needed.
Absolutely. And Kelly, also, I realized recently, I can't remember where I was at. Oh, I was at a concert. I was at the concert in DC with KB and all these Christian hip hop artists, KB and No Big Deal and all these people, right? And they were talking about some stuff, and I realized that the work that I do now is really my attempt to go back and save my mom. I didn't realize that, and me and my mom have a great relationship. She's been sober for more than 20 years now. Like she's the
Awesome.
best mom in the world. And so we process this and we talk about these things. And she tells me about when I was a little girl and she was in the middle of her addiction. She was currently like in her addiction. And I would talk to her and I would try to encourage her and just try to communicate to her, like, Mom, I still love you and it's going to be all right. You can get through this. So I was doing that at like 6 or something, right? So I realize now the work that I'm doing with women is kind of an attempt to be an example for myself, but also like to go back and save my mom because I couldn't do it then.
Yeah, that's big. That's big.
That is.
And it kind of goes with the last part of that question that was on there, like, how that's how your identity influences and shapes your approach to care.
Absolutely.
But we left this part of particularly in Black communities.
Yes.
Because there is some unhealed trauma, we know, in our communities especially. So how does that show up in how you do your work?
It's everything about the way I do my work. So when I went to my PhD program, when I joined my PhD program, I knew I wanted to research Black millennial women. I knew it from the beginning because I was studying myself, right? I'm like, and I studied self-worth. Where do we find our worth and our value? Is it intrinsic? Is it from within? Or is it extrinsic from what the world tells us, right? So I did a deep dive into all of those studies. So for me, everything that I do has a level of cultural responsivity, right? How do we respond to the cultural factors that make up a person? And so whether that's in church, because we went through 2020, we left the church. Me and my husband left the church because they would not respond to how culture impacts your mental health and your relationship with God. I mean, it just does.
That's right.
Right. And so they wouldn't respond. They're saying, we don't see race. And if you think about in church, we talk about every other identifying thing. We have women's ministries and men's conferences and things for children and things for moms and things for dads. But we don't have things for like regarding race. We don't talk about that at all.
That's right.
So we left the church for that reason, because for me, being a Black woman is a part of my identity, just like being a Christian. These are facts. I'm a Christian and I'm a Black woman, and they both matter in my everyday life. And so the work that I do, it shows up there. It shows up in my therapy. I tell people, I'm not your regular therapist. I'm not your regular therapist. I'm going to talk to you in a style that makes sense for you. Right? I'm not going to come, you're not going to come into my virtual room, because I do telehealth therapy. You're not going to come into my virtual room and and I'm not going to be a representation of you, because we're trying to get you to a better place. And you need a model, you need a representation, and you need language that you understand. You need a tone that you understand. You need a dialect that you understand.
That's right.
And so I don't code switch in therapy. It's not going to be beneficial.
Yeah. I love that we're getting to a place where that's not even a thing anymore. Code switching. And there are some people, mostly white people, who don't even know what that is because they don't have to do it.
They don't have to. Yeah, they don't have to
They're
know.
always their authentic self. So I love that we're getting to a place where we don't. This is we show up as we are, and that gives space for other people to show up exactly as they are, and it's a safe space for everybody. So I love that. So you got a question?
Yeah, we're gonna go to question number 2. Yes. All right. So, what are some common misconceptions about mental health within Black communities, and how can professionals address these to foster a more supportive environment?
There are so many. There are so many. I want to start by saying that the reason there are so many is because there's a lack of representation. And some of the modalities, um, we got into this space of things needing to be evidence based, which means they have to be tested in a certain way for them to be proven that they work. And what happens is you have white structures and systems testing these modalities,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm,
saying whether they work or they don't. And
mhm,
so when they are testing it, it's going to represent their way of thinking. And so you don't have a lot of modalities that are Afrocentric that are considered evidence based, right? So let's start there. If we don't have representation in even the approach that we use in therapy or the modality we use in therapy, then we're not going to understand it. Then you're going to get misconceptions. So we went through an era. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, so I'm a therapist. I can diagnose, I can do all of that, and I choose not to. Reason why is because we went through this era where we're placing a diagnosis on everything. We're putting a label on everything, and we're using terminology and language and diagnoses that our culture doesn't understand.
Mm.
Only 4% of psychologists are Black. Only
right.
4%.
Mm,
So we don't have enough people in our families, in our friend groups, in our circles who are using this language. So now when you slap a diagnosis on my kid,
That's right.
right, they're labeled. I don't know if y'all probably heard people say this before. People were afraid to go to therapy because they thought then your name would go in some system, right?
Mhm.
And or they'll say something about getting a check. So like if you got a diagnosis, you somehow get this check. And I'm just like, label me with something then. I need a check. Call me anything. But the misconceptions is that you're crazy. Um, you're weak, right? In the Black community, if you say you have anxiety, they like, okay, you that's some white stuff, right? Like, what are you doing
Mhm.
with anxiety?
mhm,
It's that you're just absolutely crazy, that you're weak, um, that you don't need to deal with it, you don't need to talk about it. There's just a lot of stigma around it. And the greatest one being that is white people stuff, right? We just sometimes in our communities don't think that it's big enough or that it creates so much dysfunction in your life that you need a therapist or you need someone to help you. They're like, you better talk to Jesus. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I need Jesus and a therapist.
That's right. We
Okay,
need both.
we
That's
Absolutely.
need
right.
both, right? And so
Jesus
there's a
needed a therapist.
absolutely. There's a reason they call the Holy Spirit a counselor. What is the
Mhm.
term counselor, right?
That's right.
Like you need someone to help you process and guide you. You know what I mean? And we see that all through the Bible. These mentors, and you know what I mean, through the Bible that were prophets for many people. But um, there's just so many misconceptions. It would be hard to name, but I think they come from fear and mistrust of our
Yes.
healthcare systems, of
Mhm.
our government, and of the people who are vastly represented in the mental health area.
So, Dr. Lucas, how do we get past? How do we move? I don't want to say past it, but how do we move through all of that?
Yeah.
Because those questions and the untrust is real.
Mhm. Yeah.
So how do we continue to move forward to let people know that it is okay to to know that you may need to talk to somebody every now and then, and it
Mhm.
is nothing wrong with you if you have anxiety, or you may be a little depressed, or you have something going on in your life that you need some assistance with.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So historically, we've always been taught to be so strong. During slavery, don't cry. You watch somebody else be beaten and you stand back and you don't do anything about it. So it's ingrained. Dr. Joy DeGroy has this book called Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome. I don't know if y'all
Mhm.
read. It's so amazing, right? The way that she just kind of takes us back to where some of this stuff comes from. But how we move forward, the good news is that the millennial generation and Gen Z are doing this. We have no problems with therapy.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, we're very emotional. We want to tell you how we feel. We want to process this out.
Mhm.
So I think generationally we're shifting. That's the good news. How we continue that is we have conversations just like you're doing right now, and doing the amazing work that y'all are doing regarding who we vote in. Because some of the things you mentioned, they're taking DEI out of our universities.
Mhm.
They're not funding that anymore, and they're moving it to public safety. And think about that.
Yes.
Lord have mercy.
Think about that. You're
Yes.
moving it into a field of policing. You're
Mhm.
moving the funds there. So let's not train people on diversity and equity and being inclusive and creating spaces of belonging. Let's put more enforcement and backing to policing. Like, we
Yeah.
just have a problem in this
Yes,
country,
that's
right?
right.
And so we have to just keep using our voices. We have to continue to vote,
Mm. Mhm. Say it again.
for people who are going to represent our voices.
That's
We
right.
need representation in the mental health field, because I want to go to therapy and I want to go sit in front of someone who looks like me, who understands me.
Mhm.
Because
That's right.
how many times do we say we felt like something was racist? And I'm going to tell y'all, because I think this is a good space. We're planning for the conference again. So I do the Black Mental Health Conference, and Kelly mentioned that. We're planning for the conference again, and we're starting to look at venues. And people don't say to us, when I say, hey, I'm Dr. LaShonda Lucas, I am the CEO of the Black Mental Health Movement. We're having a Black Mental Health Conference, and I'm considering your venue. Can you give me a little bit of information about your price and fees and availability, whatever, right? They don't say no. This year, they're not saying no, that's not a good fit. They're saying we can't accommodate whatever your needs are, right? So I say, oh, we're probably gonna have about 400 people. We can't accommodate that. Meanwhile, your ballroom holds 600.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And so this racism, when I'm talking to certain people, they're like, well, maybe they do that with everybody. See, no,
Mhm.
No.
no, they're not.
No, they don't.
I
Mhm.
need someone who gets it though, right? If I'm sitting in front of you for therapy and I'm processing these emotions and these feelings, I don't need to be gaslit. I don't need you to tell
Right.
me that what I'm experiencing is not what I'm experiencing when it comes to racism, right? So we
Mhm.
need representation, and we need more spaces like the Black Mental Health Conference, because what we do is that we are preparing and training mental health professionals, all mental health professionals, right? Because they all serve Black people. So
Mhm.
we're training all mental health professionals on culturally responsive practices, which goes beyond cultural competence, right? So we talk about cultural competence, which is being competent about culture, understanding culture, knowing what it is, and being aware of it. But if you don't respond to that culture, it does no good, right?
Mhm.
So we move beyond cultural competence and go into cultural responsivity, which is knowing how to respond to culture. So our workshops are talking about diversity and how to respond to Black people who have experienced sexual abuse, because that's completely different than just understanding sexual abuse. Being a Black
Mhm.
woman who has been abused sexually is a different thing, right? We talk about music and how Black kids use music to address self harm. We're doing things like that. We want to be responsive to Black culture and using some of those modalities that are not generally reimbursed with our MCOs, or that
Mhm.
are not widely used.
And you've said a lot in
Yeah, I
here.
know.
It's been all good. When you talked about um, even when we talk about diagnoses and how there's not, it doesn't sometimes apply to us.
Right.
I think that goes back to, again, mistrust, but we need people to participate in these studies. And we ain't trying to participate in no study. Like, we know about
No,
the Figgy. We not coming.
I was just about to say this.
We are
Mhm.
not coming. But because we don't, like, for me, I am a breast cancer survivor. So the drugs and the treatments that they use are mostly tried on overweight, middle-aged white men.
Wow.
Mhm.
And at the time, I was in my 40s. Not a white man, maybe slightly overweight, but Like there were no studies that were specific to me. And so we have to, Wayne was asking, like, we have to kind of chip away at these things. And like you said, representation is going to be like if I know that Dr. Lucas is on the study and I know that she has my best interest at heart, when I see her, I'm going to say, okay, maybe this study is not so bad.
Yeah.
So we do so, and I like how you differentiate between cultural competence and cultural responsivity, because people love to get within these cutesy words. So cultural competence is cute, but how do you respond to people from the culture?
Right.
That's the question. Like, don't, like you said, don't gaslight me, because I know what's racist. Everything.
All of the things. And that saying of once you know better, you do better, that's not true. Because people know things are wrong all the time and they still do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's not true for everybody.
It's not.
We have Dr. Ashley Gaddy. I don't know if you know her, but she's around the way. Now she has some comments in there. Now, Dr. Gaddy is a Delta. So there were some comments in there. I'm not sure if it goes the Delta, the D9 thing. I don't know. She also is a graduate.
I can't see the comments, so you'll have to read them to me.
Yeah, she also is a graduate, I think, of UNCW. She got her doctorate from George Mason, I think. So there's a lot of things, but she is another phenomenal woman who, if y'all don't know each other, I hope that you all will get together, put these doctorates together. She does a lot of things in education. She does a lot of equity work as well. So this would, if you're looking for a speaker.
What's up, Doc? What's up? Call me. And I did see her at work one time. I think she presented for one of the rec times or something a while back.
Yes, she had. Yeah. All right.
So, how do you see the future of mental health advocacy evolving within Black communities, and what roles can allies, real ones, play in this movement?
I love this question because the work that we're doing with our nonprofit, the Black Mental Health Movement, is working in the area around this question, the future of mental health advocacy, right? And so we have something called Black Mental Health Conversations. And this is normalizing conversations around Black mental health in your home, because it has to start in the home. It has to start right there, because we can talk about it in school, but we don't have control over that. Look at it. It's being pulled out of schools, out of universities. So it has to start in the home. So I think the future is allowing Gen Z, well, Gen Alpha now, because my kids are Alpha generation, allowing the Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and millennials, allowing them, and this is going to be different for the Black family structure, but allowing them to take the lead on some of these conversations.
That's
you know what I mean? And it's gonna be hard to not listen to Big Mama, because Big Mama say, do it this way, do it that way, and don't worry about this, and get out of them people business, and you do this and do that, all this stuff that kind of came from the Jim Crow era, right? There, it was to protect us. There was a reason for it. Some of my research is called adaptive parenting practices, and it's parenting against racist practices, rhetorics, and ideologies. That's what our parents did. Come in the house before the street lights. When the police pull over, don't say nothing. You know what I mean? It was to protect us so we come home safe at night. And we have to be willing to let the millennial generation, who is more forward about mental health, and the Gen Z generation, who is big on advocacy and activism, letting those generations drive a little bit. That's going to be the future of how we get beyond some of the fear and anxiety that comes with talking about mental health. So we need that. Politicians who understand. We have to vote the right people in, because the policies are what matters as well.
It all goes back to voting.
It does. I mean, it really does. But I believe it's important, like you said, to have these conversations So I think we need to listen to the big moms. We listen to those elders and say, okay, here is what, these are the reasons, these are the factors, these are the circumstances why we did what we did, we thought like we did, and we parented, we governed, we did these things because, and listen to those, because at that, like you said, at that time they were valid. But then
And they're still valid.
yeah.
So, and I was going to jump in and say, this is when what goes back to the post-traumatic slave disorder, because we still want our babies to come home safe.
Mhm.
We don't want our babies out there knocking over Silent Sam at UNC.
Right.
Not Sam, but we do. We do.
That's right.
And we know that they have this non-fear factor.
Yeah.
and they are, so we do have to let them. So we have, again, it may require some therapy. We have to learn how to let loose. Maybe watch Finding Nemo. I don't know. We have to learn how to let go. We do, but we still fear for their safety. So that is valid. That is valid.
It is.
There's got to be a middle, right? A middle ground, because you can't be so fearless that you're not using wisdom, right?
That's right.
And we do have to advocate and use our voices, because one of the things that broke my heart, and I continue to process this, is how we watch police brutality. We just watch. We stand by and we just watch. And the reason why is because we've been taught it doesn't matter what the police do. You don't hit them back. You don't resist. You don't do anything, right? And that if something does happen to you, you're not going to get justice. If you jump in and you respond and you resist or whatever, like, that's going to be the conversation. It doesn't matter about the police brutality. And so when we watch George Floyd and we recorded it, when we watch Eric Garner and we recorded it, that is post-traumatic slave syndrome. And on one side, there's the reality that, yeah, you could die intervening. And I understand that fear. And I'm not charging anybody to be a martyr. I'm not charging anybody to do that. But on the other side, it's like, how many times are we going to watch? Because they know that. They know we're going to watch and we're not going to intervene. And so they do what they do. 3 cops on George Floyd or in that vicinity and a street of people. Nobody did anything, right? So it's such a double standard, and it's going to take a lot of healing.
I think also when you talk about trauma, so like me, I'm a doer. We were in a training today about how we communicate. I can be assertive, I can be aggressive. I know this about me, but I actually had a conversation with a town manager about his police department. I went to him in good faith saying, you seem like a person who want to do the right thing, because you keep showing up to these Black Lives Matter marches. You show up to, all of these things that we have in the Black community. You're there. Your presence is there. So you seem like a person that want to do what's right. So I'm coming to you as a mother, a person in this community who also wants your police department to do what's right. And so when I poured this out to you, and it's been almost a year and I haven't heard anything back,
wow,
that tells me something about you. And so I feel like that they love this trauma porn. It's like trauma porn to them. You want me to continue to pour this, and you want to know how bad it is, but you don't really want to do nothing about it because you're the town manager.
Come on.
I skipped all of these steps. I skipped all these steps. You know what I'm saying? I could have talked to, I did start with a sergeant. Okay. So, but I could have followed this chain of command, but you're the person who keeps showing up. You're the person who's consistent.
Yeah.
You show up like you want to do something. So I thought maybe we could have a conversation, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me, and you took the notes and you said you would get back with me, and it's been 10 months.
Wow.
And I never want to talk to you again. I don't want to talk to you. But what does that do? What does that do for the community? If nobody is going to go talk to the chief and the town manager, nothing is going to change. So what do we do? What do we do? I'm not going to pour out. I'm not going to tell you anymore. I'm not going to tell you anymore.
And it's designed that way. I mean, that's design. That's the design of a system. So if
Yeah.
I neglect you and I keep enforcing what I want, you're just going to shut up eventually and I get my way.
Mhm.
And what we find out there is the power structure. And I need you to know what the power structure is.
Yeah.
So, so I
And
feel good.
and
Mhm.
I was able to break down the history of your department. Like, why is it there's no black people who can say I got a 20-year career here?
Wow.
And there was black people there 20 years ago.
Hmm.
Mhm.
There was black people there 30 years ago. Why is it only white men can say, I got a 20-year career, I got a 25-year career here, this same police. Most of the time, police officers can't say that regardless of where they are.
Right.
That's right.
What
I
is
have
it about
black
this department?
And I have black friends who are are police officers, and they're very much conflicted about their role. And so you think about that, like just being black in this career
Mhm.
is causing me some trouble with my mental health. Like there's something wrong with this area, this
There's
field,
something wrong with
if
it.
I can't be black in it, right? And
That's right.
Yes.
that's crazy, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, Dr. Lucas, we are getting close to the time, but I want you to tell people how they can support you. I know you have a new project. I want
Oh
to
Yes.
hear
yeah.
about it. And tell us how we can support you with that project and moving forward.
Absolutely. Okay, so I want to say about two. So one is the Black Mental Health Conference. So we've already talked about that, but I want everybody to know that we are a nonprofit, right? The Black Mental Health Movement is a nonprofit, and we have two efforts that are running concurrently. One, the Black Mental Health Conference, which you see our sign right here, um, and Black mental health conversations. So conversations are for everybody. We're coming to your area, we're coming to your church, and we want to have conversations about mental health. And so we may have an identified topic, but we want to really talk about how Black people perceive mental health. And I'm a researcher, right? I've published research in journals, and so I want this to be a research project. So when we talk about representation, I want us to really understand how Black people perceive mental health. So that's one thing. For the conference, we need sponsors, we need involvement. So if you are interested in being a sponsor for the Black Mental Health Conference, or you want to join our team, if you want to be involved in any way, please reach out to me. And so that's the Black Mental Health Movement. Now, I also have an LLC called Beauty Marks, and so this is my private practice where I do counseling, motivational speaking, organizational consultation, professional development. And so you can go to my website, drlashondalucas.com, and you can get information about both of those. What you're gonna see when you go on drlashondalucas.com is you're gonna see this amazing ultimate
It's beautiful.
healing workbook pop up called Unpack Your SHIT,
I
your
love it.
shame, hurts, insecurities, and thoughts. This is what you're going to see. This
Yes.
is my newest project. It is my workbook. It has 4 months of content in this workbook. There is a self discovery activity for every week. And
Mhm.
we're unpacking shame, we're unpacking past hurts, we're unpacking insecurities and thoughts. And so in therapy, and when we're talking to people, we always say, let's unpack that. And that's that cute term, Kelly, right? That's that cute term. But
Mhm.
what unpacking is, I've identified a structure for unpacking, how to really deal with it. One is to call a thing, understand a thing for what it was, call it what it is, don't sugarcoat it. Let's
Mhm.
not make up stories about it. What was it? Put the label on it. Okay.
Mhm.
That's the first thing we need to do. Understand what it was. The second thing is to understand how we perceived it at the time. Because in the moment that we're going through something, we might not perceive it the way that it is, right? And I have a personal story that I always share with that. I'm not gonna share it here, but it gives an example. And then the last thing is to understand how it's still showing up in your life. So if you're dealing with shame, what is that thing you're ashamed of? Call it what it is. What did you do, right? Or what happened to you that you're now taking ownership of? That's where shame is produced, right? um how did you perceive it in the moment, right? Like in the moment, you might not have thought it was a bad thing, or you might have been misled about it, you might have been deceived, right? About a thing, or you might have been too young to understand, because that's a lot of what happens. And then the last thing is, how does it show up in your life? Has it created mistrust? Has it created you to be guarded? Some of us are holding on to resentment and we just downright mean. That was me. I know you don't know that, Kelly, because I'm all nice and sweet now, but that was me holding on to stuff, bitter, resentful, right? Mad at the world, holding a grudge. That because I just had a birthday, May 7th. Okay. And so y'all know
All right.
us Tauruses, we hold a grudge now, okay? Forever
So
and
did
ever and a
so
day.
did them Aries. So did
Listen,
them
I'm an
Aries.
Aries who had to raise a Taurus. So imagine that dynamic.
Wow. Always say,
And I live with both of them.
oh my God, bless your heart. Now, when's your birthday, Wayne?
January the 20th.
Oh, so you like a nice, sweet, what are you, Aquarius?
I'm right on the middle of Capricorn and Aquarius. So
Well,
like,
I'm gonna give you Aquarius, okay? Because my husband is a Capricorn, and we don't need that. We don't need no more. We don't need no more.
And the 37-year-old who told us this podcast was born is a Capricorn.
oh yeah. Yeah.
See, they'll do that. They'll hurt your feelings, but don't hurt their feelings, right?
Yeah.
That's what happened. But this workbook is available on my site. I encourage you, if you are a mental health professional or you journey with people, particularly women, in addressing trauma, get this workbook and work through it with the person you're working with. I promise you, this came from my lived experience and my research as a Black woman. And so there's activities in here. I'm gonna just show y'all one real quick because it's one of my favorite things. Sometimes we don't know because we're in a Black community. We don't know that what we're dealing with is shame. And so I have a little shame assessment in here, right? And you answer those questions to determine whether what you're dealing with is shame. Because sometimes we've taken so much ownership over stuff, we just think we made a bad decision and we got to live with it. No, it's shame. Because you're taking ownership of some things that didn't happen, that you didn't do, or whatever. So this workbook's available on my site. You can learn about the Black mental health movement on my site. And then in June, for everybody who's purchasing this workbook right now, we're going to do a support group. I'm going to walk with you for 4 weeks through portions of this workbook. So you will have a licensed clinical social worker, a researcher, a Black woman who created this material, walking through this with you. So I encourage everybody to purchase. Send me a message, reach out to me. You can email me at Dr. LaShonda. I'm sorry, my email is LaShondaLucas@gmail.com. My website is drlashondalucas.com. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's just Dr. LaShonda.
You have great
content on
Instagram too, by the way. You have good content on Instagram. I love it.
Thank you. I'm working on it. I'm not the best social media person, but I'm working on it. I need some tips. I told you to mentor me.
Yeah. Okay. We can talk about it. But I love that in the natural, unpacking is hard. Like when we're getting ready to go on a trip. Oh, well, for me, I packed the night before, but I don't mind it. I don't mind throwing stuff in, because I'm getting ready to go. I'm looking forward to something.
Yeah.
But when you come back and it's time to unpack,
you don't want to deal with it.
So I love that. I love that. And let me go on here, click on this link and get my book so I can hop in on the support group for June.
Yes.
Wayne to have him a better woman in 4 months. Was that in time for Christmas? What's gonna be just short of the election?
Well, I don't know. We can't get the Aries out of you now. We can't do that. We can't.
And so I think she says unpacking your.
Yes.
Yours.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay, I want you to make sure you don't be trying to unpack mine.
She gonna give you the workbook.
You gotta get your own.
She gonna do. She said, "I'm finna unpack all of ours."
No, just me. I'm just working on me. So, Dr. Lucas, this is our podcast is called At the Helm, where you're in control, you're taking control of the things. So it's like a nautical theme. Before we leave the disembarkation, you ever been on a cruise where you get on and everything is lovely and they treat you nice, but when it's time to get off, they just get you off. Like, get your bag by yourself and get off of it. So, for our disembarkation, we normally just leave people with like a quick set of advice, like stay ready so you don't have to get ready, like or whatever. And I did see something on your post where you talked about flaws is not really imperfection. I tell Wayne this. I always let perfection be an enemy of the good, or good be an enemy of perfection, whatever. So anyway, do you have disembarkation a quick advice to people who may be listening, whether it be about mental health, it could be about anything?
Yeah. So this is something I said one day to myself, and I've just been saying it ever since to people, right? So we need to live with this idea of loving ourselves fearlessly.
Mm.
And what that means is loving yourself, loving the parts of yourself that you are afraid to love.
Mm.
I
Mm.
want everybody to do the self discovery work and love those parts of yourself that seem ugly, broken, bruised, damaged. I promise you they are not. The word tells us that he gives us a crown of beauty for ashes. And
Mm.
so I call those things beauty marks. They're not
Mm.
scars and they're not wounds, they're beauty marks. So
That's
Mm.
right.
love the places of yourself, the parts of yourself that you've been afraid to love. And I promise you, you can walk away or move forward as a healed, whole, and authentic person.
That's awesome. That's good advice. Especially like I said, for someone who is a breast cancer survivor who has many beauty marks, is what they'll be in the morning. They've been scars, but they'll be beauty marks in the morning.
Absolutely. Because they make you beautiful. You can connect to the human experience in a better way, a more beautiful way than I can because of your experience.
Mhm. And without those beauty marks, I may not be here. So
That's a come on. You preach it. Come on, preacher.
I
Come
love it.
on.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Lucas. It has been a joy, like I knew it would. Always when I'm in your presence, it is always uplifting and inspiring, and just makes me want to do more.
Yes. So, and for those who are on, who may see this later, I have put Dr. Lucas's website in the chat. So whether you are on YouTube or Facebook, either one, you should be able to go to the comments, and her website is there to where you can find all of her information. So please go find her, follow her. Good information that she has to share. And we do again thank you for joining us. And we hope as soon as you get some information about your conference date, please let us know, because we will share it on here. We'll share it everywhere we can. And if there's anything we can do to help support, please definitely let us know. Anything that we can continue to do.
Thank you. And let's hang out soon. Let's just hang soon.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Yes. Because y'all have fun. Y'all have fun. I see it.
Oh, y'all have fun. We need to go to a concert with y'all.
Oh,
Yeah.
so there's one. Yeah, there's one coming up. We'll hit you up.
Yeah, I think we talked about that yesterday. Let's talk.
Yeah, matter of fact, there's two coming up. One of them is the good spiritual side. One of them is going to be the good soul vibe.
I know, because my
And you
girl,
know
that's my
about
girl y'all going to see later this year. That's my cousin. Okay, so I want to go.
it.
And you know what? We gotta go. But I didn't know she was somebody that I didn't know anything about. And we went to the Essence Festival
Yeah,
and she was there. I was like, you better talk to the people, Jasmine.
come on. And we
Yeah.
sound alike. I can say my tone when I sing is like that, you know.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna take your word for it.
Yeah, I
I'm
was
gonna
about to say,
because she's a singer. She is a singer.
I done lied at the end of this thing. Let me get off.
That's all right. That's all right.
Well,
All right.
all right, Dr. Lucas, thank you for joining us. We'll see you around.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
All righty.
You can stay for a little bit,
Oh.
but we're gonna close it out.
Yeah, you can hold tight right there.
So for my disembarkation, I am going to go back to something that my grandma told me a long time ago. This is when I was a young parent. My grandma told me a lot of things. This is what I can say.
Yeah, your grandma was wise.
My grandma was. But I was a young parent. I was working full time. I was trying to go to school. I was taking my baby with me to school at night, just trying to do everything. And my grandma said, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. So I want to leave people with that. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. And it's okay to ask for help. And it's hard. I know it's hard to ask for help. I just hired somebody to come clean this house. And I should have done it a long time ago. But it is so hard to ask for help. But I'm about to put them on a maintenance plan. They can keep coming back because I'm okay with that. And I heard something today when somebody said, if you are always the person who is giving help, like you're always the one who's going and you're giving help, but you have a hard time asking for help, then you judge people who ask for help. Like you judge them. And I had to process that. Like, if I'm so big on helping people because I think it's good, but I don't ask for help, is it because I feel like I'm going to be judged? And am I judging those who I'm helping because the intention is all wrong? Mm-hmm. So because it was a doctor that said it, I got to process it. But she may be right, she may not be right. But it was something that I had to take in. So I say that to say it's okay, since we're talking about mental health awareness. If you're feeling overwhelmed, ask for help. If you need somebody to come and get the babies for a couple hours, ask for that. If you want somebody to come fold up the towels that's been sitting by the dryer, ask somebody. There's probably people who don't mind coming to fold up your towels. So you can do anything, but you can't do everything.
You can do something though.
Disembark.
I am. So along the lines of kind of what we've been talking about this evening is knowing your worth, knowing your value of yourself, and do not lose sight of that. And kind of what Dr. Lucas said, no matter what you may have been through, what you may have had to deal with, does not make you less than. It makes you really more than, because you're still here and you've made it this far. And it has not destroyed you. It has not taken you out. So you can continue to persevere and press forward. And just know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. No matter what society may say, no matter what other people may say, that you are created uniquely to be yourself and love yourself. And don't allow others to minimize who you are. I heard someone say the other week that if you are anywhere and you're in you're in a church, you're in an organization, you're in a inner circle, anywhere that you are around, and people do not recognize who you are for who you are, then they do not deserve your existence. They don't deserve it. So keep it moving. And sometimes we have to learn to be happy with ourselves, and sometimes being by ourselves, because there are some other folks that will love you and like you for who you are. They will come around, but love yourself first.
But if they don't deserve it.
Yeah, they don't deserve it. Yeah, they don't want to see you for who you are. They don't deserve your presence. They don't deserve your presence. If they don't recognize your existence, they don't deserve your presence in anything that they do. And recognize that if people are not recognizing your existence and who you are, yeah, they don't deserve your presence. And really they're probably intimidated by you, is really why they try to minimize your presence, because you are more than what they are. So happy voyages. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Oh, in 2 weeks we will
have a person on here talking about adult children relationships, parent and adult children relationships. Y'all don't want to miss that.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
We got a few of those.
Yeah. And she probably going to talk about some regular relationship stuff too. So,
yeah.
All right. We're out. Thank y'all.
y'all.
Hold on. Got to find the music. There it is.